Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
This Thanksgiving, think outside the oven and get Thanks Grilling with Ace. Get a new grill and choose from top brands like Traeger, Weber, and Big Green Egg to add even more flavor to your Thanksgiving turkey, side dishes, and desserts. Plus, right now, get free assembly and delivery on all grills and accessories $3.99 and up. For the best help on the best grills, stop by your local Ace and get Thanks Grilling. Ace Rewards members only through December 24th. See participating stores for scheduling or exclusions.
This is an OBS Job Search Advice Radio, episode 1816. I'm your host, Jeff Altman, Big Game Hunter, and welcome. Week's almost over. Been a good week so far for me. I hope the same is true of you too. And this is a show that tells you something that's better than the applicant tracking system. I had a reader who shared a comment. I share it with you. Hope you find it helpful, and hope you give the show a great review wherever you listen to it. It really does help other people discover the show. And with that, let's just get going, okay? I've done a bunch of videos related to applying for jobs through the applicant tracking system. And Philip, I apologize if I mispronounced the last name, Koroy, K-O-R-O-Y, wrote back to me with a comment. Now, he saw my video entitled Avoid the Applicant Tracking System. Now, the video's probably had a few thousand views on YouTube, but he wrote this to say, and by the way, I'll have a link to the video in the show notes. It's a shame more people haven't seen this video, and he suggests I repost it or update it to a video about filling out job applications. Now, he continues by writing, and I thought this was going to be useful to share with you. Whether they're ATS or on paper, they're a waste of time for most jobs. I presume he's talking about applications. Although better to deliver a resume to the hiring manager, well-written job descriptions will indicate in the first paragraph who the job reports to. The first thing I do is go looking for a press release with that title. Companies go to great lengths to hide the names of their employees, but are only too happy to brag and boast in news releases. A press release can also give you a connection you can use in your cover letter. Dear Mr. Smith, I read in your recent press release that, and he ... This will separate you from the spam applications. One thing that's never talked about is the social connection in the hiring process. Work is the primary social outlet for many adults, so hiring managers often give greater weight to a candidate meeting their social needs rather than their skills. The code phrase is, we're looking for someone who's a good fit, which more or less means someone who will fill my social void. This is half of the jobs that are never advertised, and 85% are filled through networking. And that number is way high, it's 70%. And of the 70, well, I'll get into that later. This is half of the jobs that are never advertised. I'm sorry, I'm rereading the same thing. Finally, I remind applicants that a job is a two-way street. If you encounter excessive red tape, to run for the door. I was once interviewed by a bean counter who was livid about a 3-day gap in my work history. I politely told him it was probably a 3-day weekend. I stood, shook his hand, thanked him for his time, and left. He'd failed the interview. Now, let me kind of dissect this. As many of you know, I've always said never, ever apply for a job through the applicant tracking system. It is, it's so hard to stand out, amongst a pack of resumes. And even if you do, I have videos that talk to how to best go about doing it through an ATS, to kind of rig the ATS and defeat it. So the suggestion about looking for a hiring manager through press releases is a good one, and you can use Google in order to do this. And LinkedIn, of course, is a great tool. You can search by company and title and get to the individual who be that person. Once you have that name, you can circle back to Google and look for the press releases. That's probably the tactic to use. Now, in terms of fit, he says 85% positions are filled through networking. I know the statistic is 70% of positions are filled through networking. And of the 70% of them, or 49%, are filled because the person you know knows someone who you don't. Lastly, I find it's rude to walk out on people. You can just mentally reject them. You always want to create a great impression because this bean counter may have been having a bad day, just like you do. This bean counter, looked at this. I agree, this person was an imbecile. But you never know where they show up years later where you want to be. And looking across the table, it reminds me of a classic episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm where Larry David is yelling at some person who is giving him a hard time on the road, only to discover this is the person that he's meeting with for his next appointment. So I remind you, the world changes. You change, they change, and it's a small world. And you never know where you run into someone or someone who they know who knows you and is willing or is interviewing you and winds up giving you a bad referral. So that's today's show. I hope you found it helpful. And if you did, here are a few more ways to get information and advice from me. First of all, there's my website, which is thebiggamehunter.us. I have more than 8,000 blog posts there that you can watch, listen to, or read that will help you find your next job. In addition, if you're interested in my coaching you, at the site there's a button there that says schedule. Schedule time for a free discovery call, schedule yourself in for coaching, interview preparation coaching, salary negotiation advice, coaching related to hiring more effectively, managing and leading, helping you to be a better executive in your organization, and overall being a better employee of your firm. If you have questions for me, you can ask them at Wizio.com/The Big Game Hunter. That's WISIO.com/The Big Game Hunter. The price at Wizio is less than 1/3 of what I'm charging at my website. And I'm doing this because I want to benefit my subscribers here and on YouTube, and only you're going to know about it. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn at LinkedIn.com/IN/The Big Game Hunter. Mention that you watched or listened to my content. I like knowing I'm helping folks. Once we're connected, it's nice to hear from you. I'd love to hear from you from time to time about how I'm helping. You can also watch me on TV. Did you know that? If you have a Fire TV or a Fire Stick, download the JobSearch TV app for Apple TV, Roku, Sony, Samsung, like 90 different TV platforms. You can watch me on either Zingo TV or BingeNetworks.tv. On YouTube, subscribe at JobSearch.TV.com and have access to thousands of videos I've created. I'll be back tomorrow with more, and in the meantime, I hope you have a great day. Be great!
When you're ready to ride Metro, we want you to know we're ready for you. Here are just a few of the people at Metro to tell you how we're doing our part to keep riders safe.
We're cleaning like never before with hospital-grade cleaning.
You'll find hand sanitizer stations all over the Metro.
No mask, no Metro. Need one? We have a few extras.
At Metro, we're doing our part to keep the DC area moving. Find out more at WMATA.com/doingourpart.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
This Thanksgiving, think outside the oven and get Thanks Grilling with Ace. Get a new grill and choose from top brands like Traeger, Weber, and Big Green Egg to add even more flavor to your Thanksgiving turkey, side dishes, and desserts. Plus, right now, get free assembly and delivery on all grills and accessories $3.99 and up. For the best help on the best grills, stop by your local Ace and get Thanks Grilling. Ace Rewards members only through December 24th. See participating stores for scheduling or exclusions.